Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are continuing to read the branches of the Chaitanya tree, or the branches and sub branches of the disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Right, so we are reading about briefly about not each and every, the main devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll say our Mangalacharan prayers, invoking the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the entire parampara, and then we will begin reading about some of the devotees and their pastimes. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, we are continuing on. We actually stopped at chapter 10, text 63 of the Adilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we're going to start from 64. But actually, I wanted to say one thing about 63 before we go further. See here, I think missed this point in the last session. So in the end, we actually read about Haridas Thakur in the last session, and also Shivananda Sena and his sons and his nephews and like that. So here, in this last verse that we did the other time, Shri Vallabh Sena and Shrikant Sena were also sub-branches of Shivananda tree, for they were not only his nephews but also unalloyed devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, they had some, this misunderstanding when Nityananda Prabhu, kicked Shivananda Sena and all that, but it was all, it was all resolved. Now the thing is here, it looks like there's a family tree that is being described, but actually this is a disciplic succession, and here they were actually family of him as well. So that is sometimes possible. In fact, it was always possible before. Nowadays in Kali Yuga, you can't guarantee that the son will follow in the footsteps of the father. But if you see, imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manavepraha manurikshvakave bravit. So, Vivasvan and Vaivasvata Manu and Ikshvaku, they are all descendants of the same family. So then Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So it can easily be, if we are not careful, if it is not commented upon by a Vaishnava, these scriptures can be misrepresented. And that's what is happening in India right now. So, imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyam vivasvan manave praha mano rikshvakave bravit. So these names are in a family. And then next verse Krishna says evam parampara praptam. So easily it can be taken as, oh you see, so in this parampara you must receive this knowledge, that means in the family. And in this way family Asurik paramparas and Asurik Varnashram, these have come to be established. And similarly in the case of Kshatriyas, a Kshatriya's son used to ascend the throne after the father. So it's usually the son. But there have been instances where it was not the son. And sometimes the son was unworthy, so he was not, put on the throne. So many instances are there. But this is the general observance that the son usually takes over. And that was because he, being a son, there's always an advantage that we can learn from the father. And hopefully the father is, enlightened in this Vedic knowledge. And if the son can learn from that and become himself a good example, then yes, by all means, the son, in fact, based on this only, Brahmana, Kshatriya, they, one of the criterion is the birth as well. It is not that the birth is not in any way important. It is important actually, but only the importance only is because there is a chance for a good culture. Because if you are in a good family, then from the very birth there will be good culture, good values. Uh, Good means, when I say good, it is not simply something good. Krishna conscious. Everything other than Krishna conscious is bad. We don't like if we don't care if people don't like what we say, but this is the thing. One has to be God conscious. If one is not God conscious, there's nothing good in that family, nothing good in that country or in that person, nothing. This is stated, sorry. This is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. यस्यास्ति भक्तिर्भगवत्य किंचना सर्वैर्गुणैस्तत्र समासते सुराः हरावभक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनोरथेनासति धावतो बहिः. All the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? So a person who is not surrendered to Krishna, he has no good qualities. No good quality. Now you may say, no, how can we say like that? People also have good qualities. So, to begin with, he is a thief. Stena eva uchate. Stena eva saha. Stena means thief. Stena means thief. A person who takes everything from God and doesn't even say thank you, doesn't have any gratitude, doesn't even acknowledge the presence of the Lord, he is the most ungrateful person. Like if a friend helps you and then you just act like he's not even there. Forget about not saying thank you. Act as if he doesn't even exist. So that is very ungrateful, right? So similarly, if we say that God is not there, if he is an atheist, if he is not God conscious, then he is a thief. So what is a good quality? Now whatever good quality he may have is all based on a false platform. Like Prabhupada gave the example of the band of thieves who went to There was a group of thieves who went to ransack many villages. So just before ransacking the village, they would meet in the forest nearby the village at a hideout or at a vantage point, at a rendezvous point, and then they will. Then the leader will say, "Okay, let's. You take this corner, you take that side, you take that side. I will take this side." Okay. Then they all went in the night, and he said before they went, all of you in the by daytime. Actually, this was just about nightfall. Night was going to come, sunset. So they said, okay, once sun sets, okay, we'll go and ransack these places. Ransack as many as possible, houses as possible, and then come back here before daybreak, before dawn. So they all came back after looting, and then the leader said, all right, so please bring out everything and we will distribute among us equally. There has to be equality. Everybody has to be fair. You cannot cheat, you cannot hide anything in the pockets. So this is not this will not be tolerated. So in this way he was talking about equality, fairness, justice, and what are all these things. But all that is based on a stolen property. So however good he may talk about, fairness he may talk about, or equality he may talk about, to start with, he's a thief. So however much he may talk about all these things, he will still be arrested by the government. So similarly, people are talking about equality, brotherhood, peace, and all these things. Virtue signaling, they call it nowadays. That means they signal towards virtue, but they don't do anything virtuous. But they do something actually vicious, but they mask it as if it's something virtuous. So, these days the political scene, this can be seen a lot. Actually, this has always been going on, but it is more visible now. Kali Yuga will be like that. So this is called virtue signaling. Like point to something good, but actually I don't do anything good really, and the so-called good is actually bad also. But I just allude to something good. So in this way, so whatever good qualities we may see, this is not good actually. But that is one way of looking at it. The other way is, yes, those are good qualities. Now you may say, like we say, there is no good qualities in a non-devotee. But if we just see that side of it, then we may just condemn. In the beginning, when a neophyte devotee, he may just condemn the qualities of non-devotees, and that is all the way. I mean, it's not just for neophytes. Of course, it's for everyone. But at the same time, the non-devotees, there are two classes. One is innocent, one is envious. The envious are the rascals. The innocent can be saved. So, although they are not devotees right now, they have certain qualities which will help them into coming into devotional service, and we should take advantage of that and then encourage them in the spirit of devotion. So, in that way, a devotee sees good qualities. For example, Prabhupada went to Shivani Srivastava is asking, Namaskaram, is it live or recorded? We are live now, but this is recorded at the same time. So it will exist even after this live stream is finished. But as of now, we are live. So an example, Prabhupada, when he went to America, he went to a country completely devoid of the mode of goodness. And he was writing this poem when he went to the Boston Harbor, that the population here are engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. How will I be able to convince them about your message, Krishna? So he was writing this poem addressing Krishna. So it is no doubt that they were engrossed in passion and ignorance. But he saw in them some good qualities, in the sense that he did not just start praising them, oh, you're good, oh, you're very good, yes, actually I like America. No, not in that way. But he said, you Americans, you have naturally, somehow or other, you have acquired this quality of renunciation, which is good, because they don't have family, very strong family bonds. Now, actually, in one way, it is not so good because the first of all, the family structure in America, I mean, in the West, is very loose. There is no, I mean, there are some, but for the vast majority, and even now, I mean, families, what are they basing themselves on? I mean, what are the values in the families? Not much. All the value is that their father worked so hard, to bring them up. That's all. And that even animals are doing. The animals, dogs, also working very hard to bring up its children. So that's not a very special thing. That is natural for any father or any mother to do. If father and mother don't do that, then they are very irresponsible. But even animals are quite responsible. In fact, there is one verse like that, 429, 1a and 2a. See, सर्वेषामेव जन्तूनां सततं देहपोषणे अस्ति प्रज्ञा समायत्ता को विशेषस्तदा नृणां लब्ध्वेहान्ते मनुष्यत्वं हित्वा देहाद्यसद्ग्रहम् आत्मसृत्या विहायेदं जीवात्मा स विशिष्यते. A desire to maintain body, wife, and children is also observed in animal society. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. Not just some intelligence, full intelligence. If a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal? One should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many, many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will, by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge, become a prominent individual spirit soul as the Supreme Lord is also. You see here, animals have full intelligence to manage these affairs, family affairs. So, that is not a very highly praiseworthy aspect of human life. The praiseworthy aspect is the spiritual aspect and the moral aspects that come with it. And God consciousness, dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pasubhir samana. So, dharmo hi tesham, dharma is something which is, we have vishesha, unique, compared with the animals. They don't have dharma. So, if we advance in that respect, then we are advancing the human mission of life. Otherwise, we are actually degrading into animal life. So, but in America, there was people, they became hippies somehow or other, not by enlightenment. Usually sannyasis, they become renounced by enlightenment of knowledge. But these hippies were renounced not out of enlightenment, but out of frustration in their attempts at sense gratification. And finally, they just gave up everything out of delusion. So, this way or that way, somehow they become renounced. And that helped them. Because in India, the real problem is, if we preach in India, among Indians, they are so attached to family life, it's very hard to get them out. And family attachment is the cause of all misery and cause of all bondage. One has to eventually come out of family anyway, either by death or by disagreement, or the best way is by knowledge. So if we don't do by knowledge, then by disagreement or death we will be separated. So why not understand this before it happens by force? And at that time we are very delusional, and we become mad. When we lose it out of force, then we become we don't really we're very engrossed in such moments, in such situations, and a person cries like anything. So asochananvasochastvam pragyavadamscha bhashase gataso nagatasumscha nanasochanti pandita. A real pandit, he will not lament for the body, whether living or dead, because he understands that the body is anyway ultimately meant for an end. So there's no point hoping that it would live forever. So with that understanding, he doesn't waste time on trivial issues. Rather, he focuses his full time in advancing in the spiritual aspect of life, to understand who I am, who is God, what is my relationship with God, what is His material nature, why was it made, and what is the ultimate goal of life, and what is real help, how to help others. All these things are the subject matter of human life. All right, so Prabhupada saw the good quality in Americans, and then he used that in Krishna consciousness. Okay, you're all renounced. Okay, join the temple. Not that, oh, you're all renounced, you're better than Indians, congratulations. Not just keep them there. Become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, your renunciation is useless. You're hippies. I don't know what urinating on everywhere and having sex on the street and everything is like they were completely gone actually. But the spirit of renunciation, so this is the Paramahamsa, means he will take the good quality. So it's not that the devotees don't see the good qualities in others. It is that any good quality is worthless if not employed in Krishna consciousness. So any material qualification or some asset that we have, whether tangible or intangible, that means whether we can asset means money or something like that, or good qualities. So any asset we have is like a zero. It's ultimately useless, because useful means it has to help us in our eternal life. I am eternal, this body is temporary, and all the skills, talents, and whatever that comes with the body is temporary. So the real use of that temporary thing if I can exchange it for something eternal. If I can exchange a temporary thing for something eternal, that is a good trade. You see? But if I just have these things, but I don't get something eternal out of it, then what is the benefit? So he he saw that these Americans, they were renounced for some reason, whatever reason. It was not a very good reason, but anyway, somehow they were renounced. So use that in Krishna consciousness. Shivani Mataji is asking, Prabhuji, if I leave my family, who will take care of them at old age? Anyway, for women, not advised to leave any family. And anyway, they will leave family at the time of marriage. So that is there. So who will take care of them in the old age? Krishna is there, and somehow or other he will arrange. And it is not that everybody can leave the family just like that as well. If one is not advanced enough, one is not advised to leave family. Okay, but this is especially for the men. And even if he is whatever it is, even if he marries, one day he has to take sannyas. But yes, he has to arrange for the care of his family and his parents and everything. And he has to leave after that. And even Prabhupada said, even if sometimes some of the family duties are not complete, still a person who has passed the age of 50, he must always meditate on how to live, especially the man, sannyas. So that is the standard of Vedic civilization. We're not into happily ever after, whatever after. One day we'll die. After that, what? Ever after. Frog. We'll become a frog. What is that then? So there is no ever after thing. This is rubbish. So better to understand it with knowledge. Who will take care? Well, who has been taking care of them for eternity? Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. One cannot take sannyas if one does not have faith in this. Not only for his parents, but his own self. A sannyasi has to go to the forest, has to go everywhere without any residence. And all of that requires a lot of faith in the Supreme Lord. The Lord will maintain me. If I don't have that faith, on what basis I will live? So, unless I have this faith, one actually cannot take the step of sannyas. So it's not just leaving home. I can live with my body, but my mind, if I'm not able to leave them, then where is the sannyas? So, unless one is really strongly attached to Krishna, one cannot do this. Like Srila Prabhupada left. his family? Who took care of his wife? Who took care of his children? Somehow or other they had their way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his mother and wife. His wife was 16 years old, his mother was 70 years old. Who took care of them? Of course, he is the Supreme Lord, he will take care in a different way. So the Supreme Lord is always there. And let me show you this verse. They always paint the renunciates as the escapists and as the irresponsible people. येदारागारपुत्राप्त प्राणान् वित्तमिमं परं हित्वा मां शरणं याताः कथं तां त्यक्तुमुत्सहे. Since pure devotees give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their lives simply to serve me, without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next, how can I give up such devotees at any time? So the Lord cannot give up such devotees and the family of such devotees. The family is pranam punati sakulam natu bhurimana. We have learned that, right? Prahlad Maharaj is saying 7, 9, 10. विप्राद्विषद्गुणयुतादरविन्दनाभ पादारविन्दविमुखात् स्वपचं वरिष्ठं मन्ये तदर्पितमनोवचने हितार्थ प्राणं पुनाति सकुलं न तु भूरिमानः. If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahmanical qualities as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas a so-called Brahmana is in a position of false prestige cannot purify even himself. So a devotee's family is automatically purified by the Lord, without any extraneous endeavor by the devotee. This is the special prerogative only for the devotees. Who will take care of the parents? Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Actually, before this, let's see Shri Praharad Uvacha. Prahlad was talking to Narsimadev. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:10, 15 through 17. Varam varaya etatte varadeshan maheshwara yadandat pitame tvama vidvams teja aishwaram विद्धामर्षाशयः साक्षात् सर्वलोकगुरुं प्रभुं भ्रातृहेति मृषा दृष्टिस्त्वद्भक्ते मयि चाघवान् तस्मात् पिता मे पूयेत दुरन्तात् दुस्तरादघात् पूतस्ते पाङ्गसां संदृष्टस्तदा कृपणवत्सला. Beautiful prayer. Now, Prahlad Maharaj said, so Narasimhadev was asking him, please take something, benediction from me, please take something. But he was not asking anything. So finally Narasimhadev insisted, no, you take something, you must ask me something. So the devotee doesn't like to ask anything from the Lord. So, since he asked him to ask something, okay, let me ask not for myself but for my father. So he said, Prahlad Maharaj said, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father at the time of his death has already been purified by your glance upon him, but because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities. So Prahlad never hated his father. He is asking the Lord to save or purify his father. Tasmat pita me puyeta. Puyeta means purify. Let's see here. Puyeta may be purified. So in this way, he prayed. Now, Narasimhadev replied, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Trih Saptabhi Pita Putah, Pitrubhi Sahate Nagha, Yat Sadhosya Kule Jato Bhavan Vaikula Pavanaha. The Supreme Personality of God had said, My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O great saintly person, your father has been purified along with 21 forefathers in your family. Because you were born in this family, the entire dynasty has been purified. Who will take care of your father and mother? What to speak of your father and mother? 21 generations of your father and mother will be taken care of. And Srila Prabhupada explains something else here in the purport. The word Trihsaptabhi means 7 multiplied by 3. In one's family, one can count back 4 or 5 generations to one's great grandfather or even one's great grandfather's father. But since the Lord mentions 21 forefathers, this indicates that the benediction expands to other families also. Before the present family in which one has taken birth, one must have been born in other families. Thus, when a Vaishnava takes birth in a family, by the grace of the Lord, he purifies not only that family but also the families of his previous births, who are taking care of those people whom you left in your previous life. Maybe your parents or your wife or your husband or children or grandchildren, you have left them and came. Who's taking care of them? When we were with them, we were thinking, no, I have to take care of these people. Now, then we were kicked out from there, and then now we came into this life. Who's taking care of them now? Who has always been taking care of everybody? Krishna. We always forget that. So, understanding this, and another thing is, when a devotee leaves the family like that, it's not that he has no interest or no good intentions in doing so. No. In fact, he takes the responsibility of helping the whole world. Sannyas means not just escaping and then eating something by begging. He has to preach and help the whole world. So that is a huge responsibility. So for that, some sacrifice has to be made. So anyway, we haven't even started today's topics. Okay. So the point here I was trying to make is Shivananda Sena's nephews were also devotees. But the point here is not because they were nephews they were dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but because they are unalloyed devotees, they have been included in this Chaitanya tree, Chaitanya disciplic succession, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. We have example of Advaita Acharya, who had 6 sons. 3 of them followed his footsteps and 3 of them deviated. And those 3 who deviated, although Advaita Acharya, Supreme Lord's sons, they are not counted in the disciplic succession, they are considered useless. And say, how can Supreme Lord's son be useless? Well, we are all Supreme Lord's sons, we are useless, right? We came into this material world. So, Supreme Lord's son can be useless. If he doesn't listen to the Supreme Lord, if the son doesn't listen to a good father, he is a useless fellow. I mean, I'm not using this word useless. Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself is using. You see, Acharyara Mata Jai Shaimata Sar Taragnya Laghi Chale Shaita Asar. The order of the the order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. So, this is in connection with, you see, at first, all of the followers of Advaita Acharya shared a single opinion, but later they followed 2 different opinions as ordained by Providence. So, Advaita Acharya's sons did. Some of the disciples some of the disciples strictly accepted the orders of the Acharya, and others deviated, independently concocting their own opinions under the spell of Daivi Maya. Then he says, the order of the spiritual master is the active principle of spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. So this useless word is used by him. There is no need to mention or name those who are useless. I have mentioned them only to distinguish them from the useful devotees. The useful devotees are there, useless devotees. I mean, they are not really devotees. Useless people. Namesake devotees. Useless devotees. Okay. So today we will start with Govindananda and Govindadatta, and we will just going to skim through all this because in the initial, in the beginning, I thought of going into the life of each and every devotee, but we will never be almost able to finish this chapter that way. And anyway, later on we will um, come to learning more about these devotees. Of course, it is nice to read everything in one place, but maybe some other time, because we will move forward with the chapter. प्रभु प्रिय गोविंदानंद महाभागवत प्रभुर कीर्तनिया आदि श्री गोविंद दत्त. Govindananda and Govindadatta, the 25th and 26th branches of the tree, were performers of Kirtan in the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Govindadatta was the principal singer in Lord Chaitanya's Kirtan party. Purport: Govindadatta appeared in the village of Sukhachara near Khadadaha. श्री विजय दास नाम प्रभुर आखरिया प्रभुरे अनेक पुथि दिया छे लिखिया. Sri Vijaydas, the 27th branch, another of the Lord's chief singers, gave the Lord many books written by hand. Purport: Formerly there were no printing presses or printed books. All books were handwritten. Precious books were kept in manuscript form in temples or other important places. And anyone who was interested in a book had to copy it by hand. Vijay Das was a professional writer who copied many manuscripts and gave them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this was a service on its own. Interesting. Formerly there were no printing presses or printed books. And actually, the printing press was invented by Gutenberg. What is his full name? Johannes Gutenberg. And it was invented in the year 1440 AD. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in 1486 AD, 46 years after the invention of the printing press. And Johannes Gutenberg, I think was from Germany. The name sounds German. I think so. So I'm not sure. I may be corrected here. So either way, so he invented printing press 46 years prior to the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's very interesting. And apparently, this is a detail I knew just very, very recently, that Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press to copy Bible, which is interesting. So it was actually used for something God conscious, you see. We can see already, you see, they were so innovative in the West that to spread the teachings of the Bible, they had this printing press in place. In India, there was still handwriting, but there they started to have this printing press. And eventually, Radhika Mataji is saying, yes, German inventor. The name definitely sounds German. Okay, so here we were doing, in India we were doing handwritten still, but in West they already started invention to mass produce. So that's why we are not against Western, or everything Eastern only is good, Western is not good. We're not saying that, and Prabhupada did not say that as well. What he said was, it's a cooperation between the lame and the blind. So East was the lame, West was the blind. Lame, person who has eyes but he cannot walk, and a person who can walk but who has no eyes to see. Now both are rendered useless in the matter of traveling, but if they cooperate together, individually both are useless to travel, but if they cooperate together, they can do anything. So the lame, although he's lame, if he is carried by the able blind man, then he will see and he will tell the direction, and then the blind man, he will walk according to the direction of the lame man who has eyes. So in this way, cooperation, it's a perfect combination. So East and the West should cooperate. Everyone should cooperate. And see, we are never into discrimination. Oh, Eastern is better than Western. Yeah, culture wise, yes, of course. I mean, especially in the Vedic culture. But we don't need to deny the inventions of the West or the technology of the West in the matter of propagating Krishna's message. And this is a small TikTok I did. Is there on Instagram as well. 5 scientists who received Krishna's blessings because of Srila Prabhupada, actually. Srila Prabhupada used those inventions in Krishna's service, and because of that, those scientists will also get some punya, wherever, in whichever life form they are now. Now, suppose this scientist has invented something and he became a frog. And suddenly, as he was a frog, somewhere in whichever planet, I don't know where he is, but if at that time, as he is a frog, and then Prabhupada takes a dictaphone and then he starts speaking on it. And the inventor of the dictaphone was very, very much. Say when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur or Bhakti Vinod Thakur printed magazines. Then the inventor of the printing press, Johannes Gutenberg, I mean, I think he also did it for Bible, so it is definitely good. But especially when it is employed by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, oh, then wherever he was, immediate promotion. So sometimes we do not know why a person is just suddenly. We do not know. You see, this can be a good example where this person has invented something and he died, and then hundreds of years later, one Acharya, great Vaishnava Acharya, comes and uses that in Krishna's service. And this soul who has so called died, he's somewhere. He's not that he's finished, he's somewhere. And as he was doing that, and then when this Acharya comes to use it, then immediately that person gets the credit, and then he will be promoted. So this is, and then this person does not understand how he just got promoted. I mean, how did he get maybe Vaishnava Sangha or whatever? So we do not know how Krishna is actually purifying us through our family or through our work or whatever. Somehow, if devotees come in contact, we can only make progress, real transcendental progress, when we contact a devotee, either physically or in this way. You see, you know, this is no contact, no physical contact. Gutenberg did not contact Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur made use of the invention, and that is also a contact, because this work done by this person has somehow been used in Krishna's service by an Acharya. So therefore, this soul will get benefit. So in this way, we don't need to deny anything. We just have to use everything in Krishna's service. Yukta Vairagya is therefore the best principle to live. Okay. But either way, this Govinda, who's this? Vijaydas, sorry. He was a professional writer who copied many manuscripts. Now, in the matter of writing like this, he's not just a professional writer with a good handwriting. A writer's job, when they're copying scriptures, they have to understand what they're copying. Otherwise, they cannot copy. So, that was a good advancement for him. Okay, because he was meditating on the thing as he was writing. So that's a great service, and he used to give it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vijaydas. Ratna Bahubali Prabhur Thuila Taranam Akinchana Prabhur Priya Krishna Dasanam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Vijaydas the name Ratnabahu. Wow. Jewel handed, because he copied many manuscripts for him. The 28th branch was Krishnadas, who was very dear to the Lord. He was known as Akinchana Krishnadas. Akinchan means one who possesses nothing in this world. Now, this Ratnabahu, so jewel handed. That reminds me of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compliment to Rupa Goswami that he gave. What was that? That your handwriting is like pearls. I don't know if it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. You see? Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 1.97. श्रीरूपेर अक्षर जैन मुकुतार पाति प्रीति होया करेन प्रभु अक्षरेर स्तुति. Thus being pleased, the Lord praised the writing by saying, the handwriting of Rupa Goswami is just like rows of pearls. This is a double meaning pun. Now, it was beautiful to look at, and the thing that Rupa Goswami was writing, the subject, is like a string of pearls. These verses that he used to string with the ink from of his hand with the pen. I mean, they were pearls. I mean, even now we can wear those. These are the ornaments of a devotee. These kind of shlokas, they are kantahara. They are called Vaishnava kantahara. These important shlokas, not only from Rupa Goswami, but also Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. All, you know, important verses, they are called kantahara. They are the necklace that the devotee wears. A devotee wears no ornaments. Yeah, he does wear. His ornaments are his behavior, and his necklace will be his speech. And he's always quoting Shastra. So usually necklace, adorns the neck, the throat area. One way of decorating the neck is by actual, pearls, necklace. But the other way of decorating the throat is to speak always about the Lord and chant his shlokas. So Rupa Goswami used to compose these beautiful verses, beautiful works, literary works, and that is just like a row of pearls. Beautiful. Not only full of meaning, but also very artistically presented. I mean, if I can bring out certain Chitra Kavitva, I think. Let me actually show you some example. I mean, Rupa Goswami, all his verses are just excellent, right? But you see, even with verses, he did some things which are completely, I don't know if you can see this. This is called Chitra Kavitva. 12 shlokas here. And you know what is the speciality in these shlokas? They have very, very... Chitra means image. So these words, actually they can be drawn. They can have shapes. It's difficult to explain. But the first 4 are not according to shape. They are according to some special restriction. And the 5th onwards is according to shape. It's coming like a Padma, like different. There's an explanation for this. So anyway, let's see this. First 4, for example. Rasasara susarorur asurarih sasarasah samsarasir asaurase suriramsuh sasarasah. There are only 2 letters here, Sa and Ra. Now you may say, oh no, there is M here. But no, that is Ram, Raha. And here Saha. Although H is there, that is not actually H, Saha. So, it is still just with Ra and Sa. He just composed the whole verse. And the meaning, it's not just some sounds only. You see the meaning of the verse. The Lord, I don't know, it's small for you, but I'll just read it. The Lord, who is a shower of nectar, whose thighs are broad, who kills the demons, and who with a sword cuts the cycle of repeated birth and death, holding a lotus flower and filled with transcendental amorous desire, entered the rasa dance. And same thing, Cha and Ra. Charchorurochi ruchora ruchiroram charachare chauracharo chirachiram ruchacharur achuchurat. You see, Cha and Ra. The Lord, who is splendidly anointed with sandal paste, whose chest is broad and who is the most handsome person in the world of moving and non-moving creatures, became the thief that gracefully stole the gopis' garments. 3. Dhare dharadharadharam dharadharadhurarudham Dhira dhirara radhadhi rodham radha dhurandharam. Ra and Dha. Look at this. On the hill, earnest Radha worshipped the Supreme Lord who lifted Govardhan hill, checked the great rains, and stopped the anguish of the devotees. Look at all this. And then, these are all two. Until now it was two. Rasa, Chara, Dhara. Now only one. Ninun nano nanam nunam, nano non nanano nunihi. Nane nanam ninun nenam, nanon nananano nanu. Rupa Goswami. Did not Lord Brahma, tears streaming down his face, recite many prayers trying to pacify Lord Krishna, the killer of Shakatasura? I mean, how did he get that? See, this is Rupa Goswami. And the next ones are a little bit difficult to understand what is the pattern in this, but actually there is a pattern. But I don't have much time now to explain all of that, and I also forgot some of it, most of it. And you see, even last one, Taraphas Bharatalam Sarabhasa Saralam Bharasurasyam Bhasurasyam Subhalam Papagnam Gopabalam Karanahara Neerabhridvara Neelam Charugrivam Ruchalam Ratamadhataralam Chetasa Pita Chelam Shita Praspita Sheelam Varayavarabalam Vasudevam Sabalam. So there are actually many. To explain this, there was a nice article I saw, Chitrakavitvan article, where maybe if somebody can share that in the comments, I can maybe show it. But anyway, the point is, Rupa Goswami's handwriting was just like a row of pearls, two ways. The handwriting was beautiful and the subject matter was extremely beautiful. And it doesn't matter if one's handwriting is not beautiful, if the subject matter is beautiful, that's what matters. So in both ways, Rupa Goswami was very artistic. And same here, Ratnabahu, jewel-handed. So whatever he was writing was like jewels. And Vijayadas, anybody who used to write, they used to have good handwriting. You have to have, that's a prerequisite. If you are a professional writer, you have to have good handwriting. Just like if you are a professional voiceover artist, you have to have good voice. Otherwise, you are a horrible voice, then nobody will hire you as a voiceover artist. So similarly. And if you are a professional actor, you have to be good in acting. So if you are a professional writer, you have to be good in writing, handwriting. So Vijayadas, again, Ratnabahu, jewel-handed. Both his handwriting was beautiful and the subject matter which he was, although it may not be his own creations, but he was copying the manuscripts, and that is a great service. Perfection of a hand is to write about Krishna. Ganesh wrote about Krishna. Mahabharata. Vyasadeva narrated and Ganesh wrote. So this is perfection of a hand in Krishna's service. Jewel-handed, Ratnabahu. The glorification of the Lord is what actually decorates. Krishna is the decoration. Now, Mukundamala Stotram. We'll go to 19 first. Yat Krishna pranipata dhuli dhavalam tadvarshma tadvaishiras tenetre tamasojjite suruchire yabhyam harirudrishyate sa buddhir vimalendu shankha dhavala ya madhavadhyayini sa jihvamrita varshini pratipadam ya stauti narayanam. That head is the loftiest, which is white with dust from bowing down to Lord Krishna. So if a head is full of dust, and the dust came because of bowing down before the feet, and all the dust or bowing down before devotees, and that dust decorates one's head, if one's head is dusty because of that, that is a very great ornament. Those eyes are the most beautiful, which darkness has abandoned after they have seen Lord Hari. So the decoration of the eyes is that they can see Lord Hari. If they seen Lord Hari, or there is Archa Vigraha, deity form also, that is the perfection of the eyes, and to see the devotees. That intelligence is spotless like the white glow of the moon or a conch shell, which concentrates on Lord Madhava. So the intelligence becomes white when it's or white, pure, when it concentrates on Lord Madhava. And that tongue rains down nectar which constantly glorifies Lord Narayana. So the tongue is glorified by glorifying Narayana. So the hands are also glorified by the service to Krishna. So here in the 30th verse, भक्तापाय भुजंग गारुड़ मणिस्त्रैलोक्य रक्षामणेर गोपीलोचन चातकंबुदमणि सौंदर्य मुद्रामणि यह कांतामणि रुक्मिणी घनकुच द्वंद्वैक भूषामणि श्रेयो देव शिखामणिर्दिशतु नो गोपाल चूड़ामणि. Krishna, he is the jewel riding on the back of Garuda. So Garuda is decorated by Vishnu on his back. Not that the Lord is decorated because he is riding on this fantastic bird. No, the bird is decorated because the Lord is riding on him. The Lord is always, even when he is completely naked, like Krishna, when small boy naked, he was completely beautiful. All his bodily parts are completely beautiful. So he doesn't need clothing or ornaments to beautify himself. But the ornaments become beautified by being on Krishna. Always. When Krishna, so when we take to these things, we need those things. Like we want to look good, so we have good ornaments. So, but the Lord also does this, but not for want of it, but out of mercy to those. When Krishna wears ornaments, those ornaments are actually people. They are persons. They are not just dead ornaments. So, they will get beautified by Krishna. Krishna is the real ornament actually. The ornaments are not the ornaments. Krishna is the ornament of the ornament. So, he is the jewel riding on the back of Garuda who carries away the Lord's devotees on his wings. He is the magic jewel protecting the three worlds. There is a whole movie trilogy, The Lord of the Rings. One ring, one jewel, piece of jewelry, which one becomes a master of the three worlds, or whatever, master of the world or whatever. I don't know what the story is. I never read it. I never watched it. Somebody showed me some war scene from The Lord of the Rings, and I like that. Mahabharat, should be something shown, something like that. That's fine. But otherwise, I do not know anything of the plot. But at least that's the storyline, kind of. The Lord of the Rings. Now there is, these are, Lord of the Ring, one who has the ring, he is, like the whole. These are not just a mythical, some fantasy kind of thing. It's actually, there are such things. And even in Krishna's time, there was this jewel called the Syamantaka jewel. Whoever holds that will get gold every day and will become a very powerful ruler. Such things are there. It's not that it's not there. Otherwise, where these people get those ideas that somebody possesses a jewel and then he becomes the master of the world. So there are such things, but and some are cursed, some are blessed, empowered. There are these things, and especially in the heavenly planets, there are more of these things. In fact, in the spiritual world, Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha, every stone on the land is a touchstone. Chintamani. So these are not only in fantasy. They are actually real, but not so much on this planet. But other planets. Even Sanatana Goswami had it, touchstone. So anyway, he is the magic jewel protecting the three worlds. The jewel-like cloud attracting the Chataka bird. See, this magic jewel protecting the three worlds. In other words, if one is Krishna conscious, if the whole world becomes Krishna conscious, that is the real ornament of the world. If Krishna is at the center of the whole world, if the United Nations convenes on the center of Krishna, that means Krishna being the center, they unite according to Krishna's instruction. That is jewel that will protect the whole world. So, if everybody follows Bhagavad Gita, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, one book is enough to protect the whole world from all kinds of suffering. So, this is magic jewel protecting the three worlds. It's not just some poetic way of explaining him. No, it's actually true. The jewel-like cloud attracting the Chataka bird eyes of the gopis. The Chatakas are only, they drink from the Chataka bird drinks from the cloud only. They don't drink from the reservoir of water on the ground. They drink from the cloud. Such birds are there. And he is the jewel of them, of the gopis who are compared to Chataka birds. And the jewel among all who gesture gracefully. Because he is um, Shamam Tribangha Lalitam Niyata Prakasham. So he is the most graceful. So among those who gesture gracefully, he is the absolute jewel. He is the only jeweled ornament on the ample breasts of Queen Rukmini. So he is always there, embracing the Queen Rukmini, who is herself the jewel of beloved consorts. Of all beloved consorts, she is the jewel of all of them, but he is her jewel. May that crown jewel of all gods, the best of the cowherds, grant us his supreme benediction. So in this way, he is referred to as the jewel. So anybody, if we somehow or other come in contact with Krishna, that is our jewel. We don't need any other ornaments. All these ornaments of the world actually do not beautify us. The real ornament that beautifies a pure devotee is very attractive. See, Prabhupada is very attractive. So it's because the beauty is because he's in touch with Krishna. So that is the real jewel one has to wear. And because Vijay Das was actually writing about Krishna, therefore he was called Ratnabahu. How much meaning you see, jewel handed. Oh, खोलावेचा श्रीधर प्रभुर प्रिय खोलावेचा श्रीधर प्रभुर प्रिय दास जहाँ सने प्रभु करे नित्य परिहास. The 29th branch was Sridhar. So Sridhar, Kholavecha Sridhar, is actually one of the branches of the Parampara of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A trader in banana tree bark. What kind of a branch is this? I mean, he is trading in banana tree bark. What kind of acharya is this? He was a very dear servant of the Lord. On many occasions, the Lord played jokes on him. Purport. Sridhar was a poor Brahmana who made a living by selling banana tree bark to be made into cups. Banana tree bark, he made them into cups and he sold them. Most probably he had a banana tree garden and collected the leaves, skin and pulp of the banana trees to sell daily in the market. He spent 50% of his income to worship the Ganges and the balance he used for his subsistence. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his civil disobedience movement in defiance to the Qazi, Sridhar danced in jubilation. The Lord used to drink water from his water jug. Wow, I didn't know this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to drink from the water jug made of banana plantain leaves, plantain bark, made by Sridhar, Kholavecha Sridhar. Sridhar presented a squash to Sachi Devi to cook before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. Okay. Every year he went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. Oh, every year he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. Wow. According to Kavi Karnapur, Sridhar was a cowherd boy of Vrindavan whose name was Kusumasava. In his Gaur Ganodesha Deepika 133 it is stated, Khola vechataya khyatah panditah Sridharo dvijah asid vraje hasyakaro yonam na Kusumasavah. The cowherd boy known as Kusumasava in Krishna Leela later became Kholavecha Sridhar during Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela at Navadvip. Hasyakaro, asid vraje hasyakaro. I can understand from here, Hasyakara means he is like joker kind of person, I think. Hasyakara. He makes other people laugh. I think that is lost in the translation here. Kusuma Sava. Yeah, Hasyakaraha. So he used to make other people laugh or something like that. Vraje Hasyakaraha. He was like a joker in Vrindavan, cowherd boy. So he became this Kolavachan Sridhar, and that's why it is said here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu you played jokes on him. So there is a connection there. Parihas. Parihas means joking. And Hasyakara. So there is Kolavachan Sridhar. I did not know he was actually a cowherd boy. Interesting. प्रभुर जार नित्य लय थोड़ा मोचा फल झार फूटा लौह पात्रे प्रभु पीला जल. Every day Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly snatched fruits, flowers and pulp from Sridhar and drank from his broken iron pot. Okay, it's not a banana tree bark pot. Broken iron pot. The Lord is supposed to be served in golden pots and in golden most opulent things, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was eating from drinking from a broken iron pot, not even gold, iron of Sridhar. So this is just like Vidura. Krishna went to his house and ate banana peels. Out of ecstasy, Vidura was wanting to give bananas to Krishna. Oh, Krishna has come to my house. The Supreme Lord has come to my house. In ecstasy, he was just like peeling the bananas and then throwing the banana and giving the peel. And in this way he was doing, and he was not even noticing that he was actually giving the skin to Krishna and then throwing the banana instead of doing the other way around. And Krishna did not say, hey, look what you're doing. You're giving me banana peel. No, he did not. He ate the banana peel. Ashnami prayatatmanah bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. What is that? Patram pushpam phalam tum yome bhaktya prayachyati. So bhakti is what he accepts. So because he was in bhakti, he was giving like that. He did not interrupt his bhakti with some detail of another detail. Krishna can eat anything. Krishna can eat the whole universe. Eating a banana peel is not a big deal for him. But okay, then I will give him all the banana peels, no? Because every time wastage, no? Then you also eat. Then we can't eat. But cows, they can eat. Cows have the power to eat all this. We cannot eat all the skins and everything and digest everything properly. So Krishna, he accepts. Okay, cows, for example. I mean, these people. I mean, lions. They digest meat, raw meat. They have the power. Who gave them the power to eat raw meat? Krishna gave. So he does not have the power to digest anything. He can digest anything. He can eat peels easily. He can eat. When Arjuna was looking at the Vishwarup, all the soldiers of the armies, all they were entering the mouth and smashed them by the teeth and being devoured by the universal form of the Lord. Nothing for him. So he can easily eat peels, but it's a devotion. Not that okay, I will offer peels to Krishna. That means there is no devotion on our part. Vidura did not know he was offering peels. That was the ecstasy in which he was giving. And here, Mahaprabhu jokingly snatched fruits, flowers, and pulp. Already Sridhar, Kolavachan Sridhar is so poor. He snatched things from him and drank and ate. But Kolavachan Sridhar also played along because they were cowherd boy. He was cowherd boy, and they had this rasa. And anyway, a devotee wants to offer everything to Krishna. Even he was so poor, half of his salary he was giving, half of his income he was giving to the worship of Ganga Mata. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu noted, that is the standard. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they also divided half of their wealth. That is the Vedic standard. Prabhurati Priya Dāsa Bhagavan Pandit Jar Dehe Krishna Purve Hoila Adhishthit. The 30th branch was Bhagavan Pandit. He was an extremely dear servant of the Lord, but even previously, he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna who always kept the Lord within his heart. Bhagavan Pandit. Not much information is given here. Jagadish Pandit Ar Hiranya Mahashaya Jare Kripa Koilo Balye Prabhu Dayamoy. The 31st branch was Jagadish Pandit and 32nd was Hiranya Mahashaya. In Bengali, Mahashaya means um, like Mahatma, Mahant, you know, um, somebody Mahan. Um, 32nd was Hiranya Mahashaya, unto whom Lord Chaitanya in his childhood showed his causeless mercy. Purport: Jagadish Pandit was formerly a great dancer in Krishna Leela and was known as Chandrahasa. Regarding Hiranya Pandit, it is said that once when Lord Nityananda, decorated with valuable jewels, was staying at his home, all night long a great thief attempted to plunder these jewels but was unsuccessful. Later he came to Nityananda Prabhu and surrendered unto him. Hiranya means gold. He was after gold, but he became a Pandit after that, after attempting to plunder Nityananda Prabhu. এই দুই ঘরে প্রভু একাদশী দিনে Vishnu Naivedyamagi Khaila Apane. In their two houses, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged food on the Ekadashi day and personally ate it. Looks like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not do Nirjala fasting on Ekadashi. You see. Purport: the injunction to fast on Ekadashi is especially meant for devotees. On Ekadashi, there are no restrictions regarding food that may be offered to the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the food of Lord Vishnu in his ecstasy as Vishnu Tattva. प्रभुर पड़ुया दुई पुरुषोत्तम संजय व्याकरणे दुई शिष्य दुई महाशय. The 33rd and 34th branches were the two students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Purushottam and Sanjay, who were stalwart students in grammar. They were very great personalities. Purport: these two students were inhabitants of Navadvip and were the Lord's first companions in the Sankirtan movement. According to Chaitanya Bhagavat, Purushottam Sanjay was the son of Mukunda Sanjay, but the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has clarified that Purushottam and Sanjay were two people, not one. So, anyway, you see, they were great in stalwart students in grammar. Now, look at just now, I showed you the Chitra Kavitva of Rupa Goswami. How stalwart you have to be in grammar and in poetry like this to compose something like that. And in fact, although the later verses are long and don't look like something like that, but actually they are even more wonderful than the ones that I showed you. Because actually, if you arrange the letters in a shape, they will actually go one like Padma circle like this, lotus circle. I mean, there are some mandalas that can be drawn with the verse, the arrangement of the alphabets. It's something, I mean, unheard of. I have never heard it. Chitra Kavitva. So, to do something like that, how stalwart one must be. I mean, so. I mean, even Vyasadeva to compose all the Bhagavatam and all the Puranas and I mean everything. So poetic. Every verse is so poetic. With meter and everything. Wow. It's this unimaginable talent and unimaginable knowledge. That great culture, we are talking about it as mythology. I mean, just the beauty of it. You see, like for example, scientists come up with some theories, and they don't write poems to write those theories. They write in big essays and books, which most people find boring. But you see, the science of Bhagavad Gita is so elevated, far more elevated than any scientific so-called theory of this world, and they wrote it in poem form so that it is attractive to even those who otherwise wouldn't find it attractive. The acharyas are empowered to attract the conditioned souls in different ways. The conditioned souls are attracted to arts and all kinds of things. But if they can be used in glorification of the Lord, then if somebody doesn't use artistic expression but still glorifies the Lord, it is as purifying as somebody who does it without artistic expression, because the very act of glorifying the Lord itself is the perfection of all expression. But if it is done in artistic form, then even those who are otherwise not interested for the subject matter but are interested in the art of it, they will be drawn in and they will be led to the subject of it. So that is how a devotee thinks. First of all, he wants to offer the best words for the Lord. Choice Uttama Shloka means he's offered in choice poetry. He's offered choice poetry as for glorification, for the pleasure of the Lord, and also it will attract. Bhagavatam was not written just for Vyasadev's service to the Lord. Okay, I'll glorify you, Lord. Okay, I'll write something beautiful. No, he wrote it to actually guide the people. Narada Muni asked Vyasadeva to write something which will benefit the people. Then he wrote Bhagavatam. So he wanted people to, easily not only be attracted to the poetry but also easily remember them. Now, I can write something, but how are you going to remember? How is somebody going to remember that? But if it's in a poetic form, one can learn the verse in a nice tune or something like that, and then because of the tune, like we see even our children's class, children are learning so many shlokas. They may not know the meaning much, but they are getting introduced to the shloka chanting. Of course, the elder students, they are learning the meanings and everything. So it's easy to remember. There are so many memory techniques, so many memory techniques. I think the best memory technique is poetry, because it is so attractive, so concise. In fact, I'll show you this verse. Memory techniques. There are so many memory techniques. I have actually covered some of them in my shloka learning course. But actually, shloka itself is a memory technique. Because when it's written in such a way as easy to remember in a rhyming, why rhymes work for children? They learn things through these rhymes and easy to remember, and then they get they learn things through rhymes. Now let me show you something. Prabhupada wrote this. Let me see if I can remember it well. Okay, search. I have shown this verse actually in the Shloka learning course. Yes, 10, 9, 1 and 2. Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.1 and 2. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Ekada Griha Dasishu Yashoda Anandagehini Karmantaran Yuktasu Nirmamantha Swayam Dadhi Yani Yani Ha Gitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Dadhi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. This is the life of a devotee. Beautiful. Actually, I need to memorize this verse itself. This is so beautiful. Okay. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued. One day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. You see here, Yani Yani Ha Gitani Tadbala Charitani Cha. Tadbala, that means her own boy's pastimes, Charitani. Dadhi Nirmanthane Kale, as she was churning the yogurt, Smaranti Tani Agayata. So she was singing all these songs which she composed herself and about Krishna's pastimes, and she was remembering all those in the form of poetry. Nowadays there is photography and videography. When you remember something by those photos or some video, what you did in your past or something like that. And Google Photos, they bring up, or Facebook also, or 9 years ago, 5 years ago, some photo they will, this day 9 years ago, something like that. So those things are memories in the form of photographs, but this is in the form of poetry. Poetry is a huge memory technique. So here, Sri Shukadeva Goswami, okay, we have read this. Now here, in the purport, Prabhupada writes very nicely. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnava Toshani of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yashoda took place on the Deepavali day. So Deepavali is actually a very significant day for us because Ram was welcomed in Ayodhya, and people greeted him with so many deepas. But also Krishna was tied by Mother Yashoda on the Deepavali, and we actually sing the Damodarashtaka song in that Kartik Mass. Ours is Purnima system, so Purnima to Purnima, the 1 month. And Deepavali comes right in the middle because it's Amavasya, right in the middle. So that is the Damodarashtaka thing we sing Kartik month because he was actually bound on that day, Deepavali day. So even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses. Okay, this is interesting. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. So this is another thing. When you drink the milk here, it's not very good flavor. When you drink in India, the milk has very nice flavor. Sometimes here people don't like milk because of its flavor. But honestly, the milk from here it appears that if the grasses are flavorful, fragrant grass. There are different types of grass, I guess. So some nice grasses. And Mother Yashoda, you see, Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows, make it into yogurt and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the houses of neighboring gopas and gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared by her. So because Krishna was like going everywhere and stealing butter, so she thought, okay, you know what, how to stop him? He's so naughty. Okay, why is he attracted there? Maybe the yogurt that I am making, the butter that I am making is not so flavorful. So okay, I will give the grass to these cows, flavorful grass, so the milk will have that flavor, and then with that I will make so that it will be the best milk and best butter, best yogurt, so that he will stay here and he will not steal. So this much Yashoda was thinking how to serve Krishna. Oh, in the Govinda Damodara Madhava, okay, Radhika Sakhi Mataji is showing something here. There's this beautiful verse in the Govinda Damodara Stotra. उत्थाय गोप्यो पररात्रभोगे स्मृत्वा यशोदा सुतबालकेलिं गायन्ति प्रोच्चैर्दधिमन्थयन्त्यो गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति. Rising early during the Brahma Muhurta and remembering the childish activities of the son of Yashoda Devi, the gopis loudly sing while churning butter, Govinda Damodara Madhava. So beautiful. So not only did they chant his names, but also his qualities. So she did not need any Bhagavatam classes to, remember the pastimes of the Lord or something. She herself composed, and while she was doing all the works of the household work, she was singing all these. So that's how we should do our service as well. Chant Hare Krishna and chant shlokas, remembering all the qualities, remembering all the philosophy, remembering all the, nice this thing. That's how we should go about our day. In that way, whatever we are doing, our consciousness will become purified and purified. The teachings of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, the philosophy of Krishna, everything, and the philosophy and everything about the Vaishnavas, the songs of the Vaishnavas in their prayer to the Lord. So these should decorate our mouth. So here, she was doing all this. While churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. Now here, it was formerly a custom that if anyone wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Aghasura, Shakatasura, Trinavarta, and while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. So you see, they either transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. So these writers like Vijay Das, he was a professional writer. So some of their things were this kind of duties. Some people would hire them just to write a poetry, like stota, like panegyrist. What is every time I forget the pronunciation of the word? Panegyrist. Sorry, panegyrist means a king usually previously he used to be woken up every day by these singers who sing the songs composed by a panegyrist who glorifies the king in some poetical form, and the king used to rise with that and praise the king. In the sense, it's not that, oh, the king wants to be like glorified, oh, I'm the greatest king, everybody must praise me like this. It's not that. It's actually more meaningful than that, because that looks like complete narcissism, that I would employ some poets to write about myself and they have to wake me up with that poems glorifying me. That sounds like complete horrible narcissism. So how can that person be a king? But it was not that. At least when it was done properly, for Rajarshis, it was like this, that the king, every day when he woke up, he wants to be reminded of what dynasty he was born in and what is the values, what are the spiritual, for example, his forefathers, what they have done, and what it means to be in that royal family, and what is the duty that, how did my, say, for example, my father or grandfather ruled over the citizens, like Ramachandra ruled over his citizens, how, and I'm his son, suppose Lava and Kusha, and they were part of that, and what I stand for as a king, and it reminds me of my own duties, and maybe even I did some things which are, good, and I should be reminded of that so that I will keep up that thing. And when a king does something in accordance with the Vedic principles, those are glorified by the poets, and it reminds the king, okay, I've done this, okay, my dynasty has done this, and I'm part of this dynasty, and I'm ruling over the citizens, and I have to keep up that. I cannot drift down, I cannot slip from that standards. So it is to remind the, I mean, it's and of course, first it will start with the glorification of the Lord, and then the king also. So in that way, it was meaningful because it will remind him of his duties every single day. Poetry is a huge memory device. So the the Acharyas, the Vyasadeva, he wrote the whole Bhagavatam. There was no need for him to write it in poetry. He could have just written in prose, in Sanskrit essays, books. But you see how he put it in poetry. So now we can not only chant them, but also refer to them. For example, not only Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, everything. For example, Krishna said, "Surrender unto me." Where did he say? 18.66. I mean the pointing of like chapter and verse. If it is not done in verses like that, how are we going to point to that? If it's written in essay, oh, page number this, paragraph number 2. What if the page was a different, bigger page, and then or a smaller book, or pocket size or big size? Which page, which printing? Oh, printing in that year and that version. How are we going to refer to it? So reference wise as well, poetry is a huge help. You see, we are referring now. We are just taking out verses like this. Why? Because the acharyas wrote it in that way, and so now we can take advantage of that. We can not only understand the philosophy, they made it easier for us to remember the acharyas in form of poetry, and they made it easier for us to reference it, because we have to always quote from the shastra. And if, how can I quote something which I cannot easily point to? So I mean, you see how not only did they give the knowledge, but they made it easily accessible, make it a low hanging fruit, so that everybody can pick the fruit. Not that the fruit is very tasty, but the fruit is so high that I can't jump or I can't even climb a tree. It's very difficult for me. Only those who are very skilled in climbing a tree, they can get the fruit. No, I want to make it available to the kid. So that's how acharyas think. Not only will do they have the highest subject, but they also think of how to make it accessible for the people in general. And therefore, they write like this. So much talent, you see, they employ. And make it easier for people. And yeah, let's read on here. So therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as killing of Putana, Aghasura, Shakatasura, Trinavarta. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Everybody must learn shlokas, therefore. Right? What is the time? 9:25. Okay. I think we are nearing the end of the session. Okay, I think we will stop there. We'll stop there. It's a nice way to stop because we're talking about shlokas and that should be a thing we should remember. Alright. So we'll stop it right here. So any questions or comments on this topic? So far, no. So I'll wait for a while for any questions to drop in if there are. Otherwise, we'll end the class here. So, um, as we are reading these, branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's parampara, you see how many things just by reading about the names, then their qualities, the devotees' qualities. How we can understand so many things about Vaishnava philosophy just by observing the character of devotee when he does something. Oh, how he does it and why, or like why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Vijay Das Ratnabahu, and how much depth there is to that. It's just oh Ratnabahu, oh, Ratnabahu, but how much meaning there is. You see, so grammar. They were just students, stalwart students in grammar. We can just leave it at that, but we can delve into how acharyas, how these acharyas use grammatical their strength on grammar and everything. Like you see, Shankaracharya, he had grammatical strength, but he used it to deceptively edit the Vedic message. Of course, he did it on the order of the Lord. That's another thing. But so grammar can be used this way or that way, but when it's used in Krishna service by an acharya, how beautifully it serves the purpose of enlightening the public in general. And we should note all these things. I think the only question we have by Vishal is, when will you come in India? I don't know. See, I have no independence. I have, see, brahmachari life means I just can't make a decision when I can come. Oh, I want to go to India. I can't say to Prabhu, I want to go to India and visit all these devotees. No, that's not how brahmachari life works. So when people ask me like this, when are you going to come to India? It's only when Prabhu says, go, or you come with me, something like that. If he says nothing, then I have nothing to do with India, like that. So when there is service here, there is service here. So when one is in a house, and he's a householder, yeah, he can make a decision. Okay, I will go here, I will go there. As a brahmachari, we don't have that. So that's not our life. So I can't make those decisions for myself, unless there is. Of course, if one is in a position where he is making the, he is the authority there and he has to travel, then yes. But when you're under an authority, then you cannot make your own programs of travel or anything. Service here has to be done. So my deputy, I am deputed to serve here now. So I will do my service here. And if I am sent for service somewhere else, I will do service there. So that should be the um, thing. So if he allows me, then I'll go. If he says go and go on a pilgrimage, yeah, I will go. If he doesn't say anything, then I can't ask him. I can't, you know, demand anything. I can't even request. And it's not something I am complaining about. It's not, don't think that I don't have freedom. No, no. That is how it should be. That is brahmacharya life. That's why we learn discipline. Discipline is we have to live by the. I have no independent thinking like this. You see. So that's why we learn humility. That's why we learn all these things. Today morning also we were singing that song. Sarvasva Tomar Hridaye Sampiya Charane Sampiya. सर्वस्व तोमार चरणे सौंपिया. um, what is that? পড়িছে তোমার ঘরে তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর. Forgot last time. Actually, it's a beautiful song. I'll just show you the song. सर्वस्व तोमार चरणे सौंपिया. Actually, that's what I want to do in the next Vaishnava song session. Sarvasva Tomar. Or did we already do it? I don't know. I don't even remember anything. So, okay. Podechis Tomar. Sarvasva Tomar Charane Sopiya. Podechi Tomar Ghare. তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জানো মোরে. বান্ধিয়ানি কটে আমারে পালিবে রহিব তোমার দ্বারে. প্রতিপজনেরে আসিতে না দিব রাখিব গড়ের পারে. তব নিজ জন প্রসাদ সেবিয়া উচ্ছিষ্ট রাখিবে যাহা. আমার ভোজন পরম আনন্দে প্রতিদিন হবে তাহা. বসিয়া শুইয়া তোমার চরণ চিন্তিব সতত আমি. নাচিতে নাচিতে নিকটে যাইব যখন ডাকিবে তুমি. নিজের পোষণ কভু না ভাবিব রহিব ভাবের ভরে. ভক্তি বিনোদ তোমারে পালক বলিয়া বারণ করে. This is a beautiful song actually. And actually after every verse you always say that Sarvasva Tomar and then Tumito Thakur Tomar Kukur. Now that I have surrendered all I possess, I fall prostrate before your house. You are the Supreme Lord. Kindly consider me as your household dog. Chain me nearby and maintain me as you will. I shall remain at your doorstep and allow no enemies to enter your house. I will keep them at the bounds of the moat surrounding your house. Whatever remnants your devotees leave behind after honoring your prasad will be my daily sustenance. I will feast on those remnants with great ecstasy. While sitting up, while lying down, I will constantly meditate on your lotus feet. Whenever you call, I will immediately run to you and dance in rapture. I will never think of my own maintenance, but rather remain transported by a multitude of ecstasies. Bhaktivinoda accepts you and as his only support. It's a beautiful verse, beautiful song. And here, dog means dog does not ask, I want this, I want that. An obedient dog. Dogs just, so we have to be dog. Tomar kukur. And bandhiya nikate, chain me nearby. So here brahmacharya means we are chained. So I can't just make my own, okay, I will come to India. I can't do that. So if one is a leader and he is the authority, then he can make, and that too not just for something, for a purposeful thing, for preaching and like that. So that's how the training is. This is, and actually, if you see the title of the song, Goptrutve Varana, song 3, you know what that means? This book name, Sharanagati, is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's a collection of songs. It's a book called Sharanagati. You see, there is this book cover also. I need to actually buy this. So, here, 1893 it was written. So now, Sharanagati, you know how deep this is. I'll show you. 1866. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Surrender unto me alone. See, sharanam. This sharanagati, that is explained here in Haribhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami. आनुकूल्यस्य संकल्पः प्रातिकूल्यस्य वर्जनं रक्षिष्यति इति विश्वासो गोप्तृत्वे वरणं तथा आत्मनिक्षेपकार्पण्ये षड्विधा शरणागतिः. गोप्तृत्वे वरणं. So what are these? Anukulyasya sankalpa, accepting those things favorable to Krishna conscious service. Pratikulyasya varjanam, giving up all those things which are not favorable to Krishna consciousness. Rakshishati vishwasa, having full faith in Krishna that he will protect me. Goptrutva varanam tatha, that he is my guardian and master. Atmanikshepa means full self-surrender, and Karpanya means humility. Now, Sharanagati is a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur explaining these 6 aspects. These are 6 aspects of surrender. Each songs based on these 6 aspects. And this song of Sarvasva Tomar is called Goptrutve Varanam, the 4th one out of the 6. Goptrutve Varana, song 3. I think there are song 1, song 2, song 3 in Goptrutva. Goptrutve Varana. That means accepting the Lord as one's guardian and master. And this song here, this is that. How Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote songs on each of those aspects of surrender and teaching us how to surrender. See, people ask, I'm surrendered to Krishna. I leave it to Krishna. That is not surrender, my dear. This is surrender. I mean, look at this. How detailed surrender actually is. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book Sharanagati is this, and he poeticized every aspect of surrender in these beautiful songs in the form of prayers to Krishna, which we can learn, memorize. That's the memory technique. And the tunes also are so beautiful, and even the tune accentuates the mood of the song, in a very, very fervent and very plaintive tone. One actually has to, beg the Lord to make him his dog. A dog of the Lord is not at all hey, this dog, what is this dog? No, dog of the Lord is, when a dog of the Lord descends to this world, he will be the greatest Acharya. Every Acharya is actually considers himself a dog of Krishna. It's not any lightweight thing. So the training in brahmacharya life, in Gurukul, in a temple under authority, means I have to be a dog. That is Goptrutva Varna. That means not only is the Lord my guardian and master, but I also have a duty. Like you see, I should consider, 6 aspects of surrender. I have to consider the Lord as my guardian and master. Krishna will be my guardian and master. So he will protect me and he will take care of me. But what I am going to do? What is my thing? I will. You see, he said, I will. Pratipa janere asitena dibo rakhibo gadera pare. So I will guard against any non-devotees, and I will allow the devotees. So he has a service. A dog has a service. He is a grihapalaka. He will take care of the. So a devotee has to take care of the temple of the Lord, just like a dog of the house. Not only from some rascals from coming into the temple, or from to allow devotees to come, but take care of the general maintenance of the house, maintenance of the temple. So we have to be dogs of Krishna. Even the queens of Dwarka said that we are only maidservants of Krishna. So that should be the mood. Guardian and master, Goptrutve Varanam. So in this way we can understand each of these 6 aspects of surrender so deeply by these songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the book Sharanagati. Just look at how beautiful, how much Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the realization, the depths of his realizations, and by his mercy, he's sharing them with us in the form of these beautiful songs that we can sing and remember, and these beautiful tunes and everything. How can we express our gratitude? We cannot. So, yeah, the question is very simple. What was that? When will you come to India? But you see, we have delved into this very beautiful topic actually. All right, I think so. Thank you all very much for participating and coming on this session, and I'll stop it here. Uh, जय श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, रूप गोस्वामी की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा.